I'm going to call the meeting to order for Tuesday, February 10th, City Council meeting. Clerk, please do a roll call.
Councilmember Walsh.
Here.
Councilmember Garola.
Here.
Klasky.
Here.
Councilmember West. Here. Councilmember Edberg.
Here.
Councilmember Engstrand.
Here.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to those of you who came to join us tonight. We appreciate you being here. And welcome to people in TV land. We appreciate you watching. We're going to start right away with item 2A, the approval of the minutes of the January 27th, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on, item 3, we're adopting the agenda. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Item 4, the consent agenda. Does anyone have any changes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have the consent agenda is approved. Item 5A, we have the Community Development Biannual Report. For that, we have Mr. Lindahl. Mr. Lindahl, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So I'm going to present to you the Community Development Department, what we call biannual report. So twice a year, the Community Development Department comes to the council and reports on our department activities. The department activities, the data that we'll be talking here tonight really cover building inspection activity, planning and zoning activity, rental licensing activity, and then code enforcement. And so we'll be running through that information. I'm sorry, it looks like we've got the wrong slides in here. I'm sorry about that. I can, most of what I was going to cover for you is in the.
Can you hit next one more? Keep going to black. Okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Go
Sorry about that. So most of what I was going to cover for you tonight was included in the slides, but it's highlighted in your staff report. And what you can see from this is the data in the is included in the tables that are attached to the staff report, but they're summarized in the paragraphs included in the staff report. So basically, the overall takeaway from the report data would be that overall building inspection activity is down about 3% from last year, but is leveling out from the decreases we've seen over the last couple of years. Back to what some of the council may remember me talking in previous reports is we're really kind of returning to what was kind of the normal level activity. We had a significant spike in 22 and 23 that really were the result of the school district's activity in the community and all the things that they did in the investments in the schools, and the Lochner apartment building that occurred in that time period, and then also just kind of the post-COVID bump that all the world experienced in activity increases that were kind of pent up from the pandemic period. So while, again, activity is generally down, it's really leveling off in a trend. If we look at the data, even back like the last 16 years, we're still on a general overall increase in activity. Looking at code enforcement, we have seen some declines in code enforcement activity this year compared to last year. We would really attribute most of that decrease into the fact that we had a staffing turnover in the last quarter of this year. So we filled that position basically at the end of the year, and I would anticipate we're returning back to normal activities in '26. If you look at zoning activity, there actually was a slight increase, 7.5% compared to in 2025 compared to 2024. Most of that increase is in the category that's in the table, would be in the meetings and inquiries and kind of questions category of that, of the zoning activity. So generally, I would say that that's the category in the zoning activity. That would be a leading indicator category that would say there's still a lot of activity, a lot of questions, a lot of things, projects that our people are either doing or planning to do. So I would say that that's a positive trend. And then looking at rental licensing activity, that breaks down into, if you look at overall numbers, we've broken it down into rental licenses for single-family homes or multifamily units. So that's really anything other than a single-family unit that could be rented. And if you look at those numbers for White Bear Lake, single-family amounts to about 78% of that activity, and multifamily is 22%. But keep in mind, multifamily, if you look at it on a unit comparison, the multifamilies would be the total unit count would be a lot higher. If you look at that activity in Matamidi, for example, they're at about 84% single-family licenses to 16% multifamily. And if you look at the breakdown of the rental licensing activity between the two communities that we work with, White Bear Lake and then Matamidi, we do about 78% of the activity is in White Bear Lake and 22% in Matamidi. And so that's a quick summary of the information in your staff report, and with that, I stand for questions.
We might have a presentation if there are
Okay.
any charts you wanted to go over,
Okay?
or maybe not. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm sorry I don't have the slides available
It's all
to
right.
me. Again, the major takeaways, I feel like the building department activity and the number of permits and the revenue that's generated for that is, while declining, returning to what kind of our normal activity was, and shows a long-term overall positive trend.
In the past, we haven't really touched on the rental in your presentation, so that's some new information we've started to include. And in the slides, I think you were going to talk a little bit more about Matamidi, so that's just not in this one, but looking for feedback, any ways that we can improve for the future. Thank you.
Yep. Councilmember Edberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Lindahl, with regard to that rental housing licensing and so forth, we had conversations about long versus short-term rental. Have we learned anything about that as a result of our, kind of this new annual processing and so forth? Or is that something that's yet to come in this year or a future year?
So I'd start by saying it is yet to come, but we have been doing research on that. We've gathered information from a number of kind of similar kind of context communities as White Bear Lake. We've also looked at some professional planning resources and gathered some data on best practices and how to set up your system and those kind of things. So we have been preparing to bring more information back to the council on that.
And do you have a sense of, is that a late 26, middle 26 kind of, I'm just trying to get in my head the kind of cycling that we're on for when we might take that conversation up, and the related, how might we then, once we have that information, or if we get that information, what's the regulatory stance on short-term rentals?
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, so I would say that staff is prepared to bring that information back to you in the first half of this year. The timing of it, I would want to discuss a little bit more closely with the city manager because what we're really doing here is, you may remember that when we did the zoning ordinance update, we actually had some standards for short-term rentals that were originally included in the first draft, but the council decided to take out in the final draft, and then directed staff to bring both the the zoning standards and the licensing standards together in one package. So really the process that staff envisions is to put together some recommendations on both zoning and licensing and bring that to the council in a work session to make sure that we're heading in the right policy direction from a council's perspective. And then we take the zoning side of it back through Planning Commission, because the zoning ordinance, the Planning Commission has to have a public hearing and vet that zoning side of it. But at least we'd have those two things coordinated and check in with the council first that we're moving in the overall correct policy direction.
So my sense is that no action is even realistic, but probably not even warranted in 2026. Those who own short-term rentals are already renting out space and so forth. So from an economic standpoint, to disrupt that without reasonable notice is probably not something we want to do. But to have something potentially in place for 2027, does that sound like a reasonable expectation, or is that something that we ought to have more conversation about?
Mayor, members of the council, I mean, staff is prepared to bring the information to you in the first half of this year. I think it is, noteworthy that kind of most of the vacation part of short-term rentals would be kind of happening in the summer months. You raise a fair point there. So, we can bring you the information again in the first half of the year, and then we would look to the council as to kind of the appropriate implementation point for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any further questions for Mr. Lindahl? Comments? No? Okay, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for all your work.
Absolutely.
All right, up next is item 5B. We have the Sports Center Annual Report. For that, we have Mr. Juba.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor and
Juba.
Councilmembers. Good evening. We had another great operational year at the Sports Center in 2025. We remain very fortunate to have a dedicated staff and a wonderful community of customers who frequent that place, and creates a really good environment there. So the Sports Center serves as the home of White Bear Lake Girls Hockey, the home of White Bear Lake Area Hockey Association, and the city's own figure skating program. Highlights from this past year, you can see them up on the board: 12 high school girls hockey games, 32nd annual figure skating competition, 32nd annual spring ice show. It's amazing that those things have been going as long as they have. 7 youth tournaments and approximately 100 separate youth games. And the youth tournaments and the youth hockey games are all run through the Hockey Association. Facility improvements in 2025 include flooring replacement, which you can imagine is a constant at a place where people are walking around with blades on their feet. So we do quite a bit of that annually to try and keep up on that. Outside of that, you can see the pictures on the wall. I hope you can make sense of that. The one on the left is the White Bear Lake, the second part of the Wall of Tradition. We had last year, I looked back at the slides, and we had the first part done. Now the second part is done. So that's really celebrating all the people that have come up through the Hockey Association, the accomplishments that they've made. So, the Stanley Cup winner is listed on there, a Hobie Baker Award winner, all of the Division I hockey players that have come up through that program. So it's a fun thing to celebrate if you ever get in there. It's a good piece of history to look at. And then the picture on the right is a new plaque this year that celebrates all the high school girl hockey players who have reached 100 career points, which is quite a feat for high school hockey. And so our staff in the hockey and skating community continue to come up with ways to celebrate the traditions and the victories that happen there, and there's a lot of pride. So it's fun to see the different things that they come up year by year. So next time you're in the facility, check that out. It just keeps growing and growing. It's really fun to watch. This year was the second year that the solar panels were up and fully operational, and so far we've achieved a little over $50,000 in energy costs through that program. So it's nice to see that up and running and functioning. Within your packet, there's a revenue summary. Obviously, we won't have a full financial picture of the year until the audit's done with, and we can get more in depth on that at that time if you'd like. But very much from what we can see, it was a normal operational year as far as hours of ice rented and all the things that went on there. So another good year when it comes to that. And then just a plug also, so that this will now be the 33rd annual Spring Ice Show, is April 24th through the 26th. The year's theme is Enchanted Skates, so it's always fun to see what they come up with and what they come up with for a program. It's a great showcase for local talent, as well as all the work that our staff and coaches put into that. And so if the Olympics have you inspired to be more of a skating fan, keep those dates in mind and swing through there. It's always fun, and it's fun to see, like I mentioned earlier, that environment in the community that's created there. It's a happy environment, and people are excited to see their kids showcase all the hard work that they've done. It's a fun thing to be part of. So with that, I can stand for any questions.
That's fantastic. Can I ask what the Live Barn online streaming service is?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor and council members. So Live Barn is an automatic camera system that's in there. It's a subscription system. So people, if they want to tune in to their kids' game or their grandkids' game or whatever it may be, they can sign up for that for a nominal fee, and then they can get in and watch those games live, and the camera follows the movement and gives you an opportunity to see what's going on there.
Oh, that's great. And where do people learn about that? Is it just the coaches tell them that it's available, or?
And yes, Mayor and council members, it's plastered all over the sports center.
Okay.
The ability to get in there, and it's always available on our website as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Juba? Councilmember Edberg.
Just one. Mr. Juba, you said as regards was it $50,000 in energy savings? Is that over 2 years or 1 year? And do you have a sense of what the total bill on that is? What's our payback estimate on that? Do we have any sense? Rough math?
Thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Edberg. So that is the total since they've been up and operational. So about $25,000 a year is what it's been yielding, and I think that system costs around $500,000 or $700,000 to install. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Juba. Thank you for being here. All right, item 6, public hearings. We have nothing scheduled. Item 7, unfinished business. We have no unfinished business scheduled. Item 8A, conditional use permit request at 5045 Division Avenue. We have Mr. Lindahl.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As you mentioned, the item before you tonight is a conditional use permit amendment for the high school to add parking in 3 locations on their site. So the slide before you summarizes the application and indicates the 3 locations on the site where the applicant is proposing to expand parking. So again, the property is the high school at 5045 Division, and they're proposing to add it in 3 locations. The Planning Commission reviewed this item at their last meeting and held a public hearing, and there really weren't any comments from the neighborhood on this. The application is before you in a discussion format tonight because both staff recommended approval and so did the Planning Commission, but their vote was 5-2 in favor of recommending approval. And the discussion of the item and the 2 votes against that recommendation for approval really focused around condition 6 in the attached resolution, which focuses on an access point to one of the parking lots that they're proposing. So that'll be the focus of the discussion here tonight.
Okay.
So again, this is a close-up look at those 3 locations that I had shown you on the previous slide and the overall view of the campus. So the one along Bald Eagle in the northwest section is where we'll be spending most of our conversation tonight. So that's in the far left side of this slide, and it's proposing to add 56 stalls. And then there's one at the far southeastern corner of the site, up against Division, where they're proposing to add 25 stalls. And then there's one at the far end of the site where they're proposing to add 83 additional stalls. And so looking more closely at the one tonight that the applicant has questions about, where the challenges, the disagreement between staff and the applicant exists, is for the one in the far northwestern corner of the site, just off of Bald Eagle. So the arrow indicates the location of where the parking lot is. And so most people, who are pretty familiar with the site will know, they can picture this area as there's an open space here right now that's surrounded by a bunch of tall pine trees. And so you can see on the overall close-up map, that's the bigger picture on the screen of the parking lot, they've attempted to design the parking lot to preserve as many of those trees as possible. So that should be noted on both the west, the north, and the east sides of the site. So really, the issue in question focuses on the access to this particular parking lot. And so there's access in the northwest corner that would take people out to Bald Eagle and connect with the northern parking lot that exists already at the school site. And then there's a proposed second access point in the southeastern corner of the site, down in the lower right-hand corner. And that access actually empties into or accesses the overall drive lane for the site. And so staff has had kind of ongoing conversations back and forth with the school district about this, and we really just haven't come to a consensus. But in conversations at a staff level between both the community development and the engineering department, we just don't see a need or a real advantage to adding this location. We actually think that having the additional access that in this location, in the southeastern corner in that location, where it accesses into the drive lane for the overall site, just has the potential to have traffic backups, turning movement conflicts, and isn't really necessary for the size of the parking lot that's here. It can definitely be handled by one access point given the size of it. The school district has just continually requested that be included, so we've just come to haven't come to a meeting of the minds on this. We've had good conversation, and it's all been very productive. We just haven't come to the same conclusion. The school district's consultant and staff are here in the audience tonight, and I'm sure can speak more directly to their concerns and their desires for this access point. They did provide an additional memo. They did provide an additional memo to staff that came in after the packet had gone out, so that was distributed to you tonight. And basically, that lays out some options that the school district could consider for managing that access point. They'd still like it to remain, but they'd suggest 3 different methods for managing the access point that would address, that they state would address some of the concerns of staff. So with that, really what I would say is Staff, again, has a recommendation for approval. The Planning Commission supported that recommendation. It really comes down to that condition 6 on the resolution about staff's recommendation is to eliminate that access point. And so with that, I'd stand for questions.
All right, Council, does anybody, Councilmember West.
Yeah, thank you. So I was at that planning commission meeting, a long one, and I was confused about this whole conversation. So thank you very much for laying it out, Mr. Lindahl, so it's clearer to me. I guess I'm still, okay. Have you gotten a chance, I assume you've gotten a chance to look at the recommendations here that they have sent and they're attached. Do you have any thoughts about those 3 options?
Mayor, members of the council, my general response would be, it seems to be that the acknowledgement that they could limit the access, I think actually supports staff's conclusion that it really isn't necessary or appropriate in this location. The ideas of, I believe, are to post the staff person there to manage it at high activity times, to close the access through the use of temporary traffic control devices like, some sort of temporary barrier or cones or that kind of thing, and not have a staff person there. Or a third option would be to actually install a gate that they would then control and open and close, so that it would be open during school hours where staff would use this lot, but closed during higher activity times where there would be more potential for turning and traffic movement conflict. So I'll let them make their case about what they prefer or why they want to do that those activities. But I guess from staff's perspective, we think it just actually acknowledges that it isn't really necessary and has the potential to create more challenges than advantages to the site. And again, I stated this a few times during the Planning Commission meeting and hope it comes across here with the council tonight. We just have a different perspective from their engineering department. This is based on best professional judgment and from both engineering and planning, and we think that the site would function better this way because this additional access just has the potential to create additional traffic movement conflicts and turning conflicts without really what we feel like is adding any necessary improvements to ingress and egress to the site or to this parking lot.
All right, Councilmember Garola.
I was just going to say, I can add in, like, I always enter through the Bald Eagle Avenue way, and like you said, I can absolutely respect both engineer perspective. So I can just provide a personal perspective that, this summer I go there, my son has soccer tryouts there, right? It is very confusing and you see people driving around circles often kind of with the layout, and they can figure it out, and it is on maps and things like that, but they do get confused with already some of the entrances and where to go. And then I was there at the Roseville High School versus White Bear Lake basketball game. And that was a pretty lower traffic night, and that didn't seem like people were too confused on where to go. But then I went again last night because I walked the track with a friend, and that was a pretty high traffic. We're then in that, like, kind of, I don't know if you call it roundabout area or that, but then people are confused. Like, once they got going, then they figured it out where they exit and go out. But I can see the point from going there of where then you have more people driving circles trying to find which exit they want. That's just my personal, but I can understand both engineering perspectives. That's just been my experience there.
Thank you, Councilmember. Does anybody else have any questions? Nope. Do we want to hear from, okay, yeah, I would like to hear from the other applicant.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff. My name is Tim Wald. I'm Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations with the White Bear Lake Schools, and we have worked really closely with city staff over the last 6 years on a lot of different projects, and we've accomplished a lot. And so, I also want to acknowledge the burden that's put on the staff of the city, because it's been some big projects with a lot of back and forth, and we've been pretty effective at solving those. So thank you to the city staff. This project, really the goal of the project is to alleviate any congestion on city neighborhood parking in neighborhood streets. We don't want to be a burden to the neighbors. We recognize that we have a big footprint, and we bring a lot of people to the campus, and we're in a neighborhood, so we understand that. And so our design has been really thoughtful about getting vehicles onto our property and then sorting them out on the property. So if you think about how you access the school on the Division Avenue side, we can get a lot of cars, and they can queue a long ways once they're on our property. And same with the Bald Eagle side. Most traffic enters at the very south entrance, which is the stadium entrance, and then vehicles tend to exit either out that access point or the one to the north. And the one to the north is the one we're talking about. Now, this parking lot is designed specifically for staff on school days, and then to serve Larikas Field parking. People will only walk so far they'll only park so far away from their destination. And so by adding these spots here, we think that's going to really help some of the congestion that's been created when there's been a lot of activity at Larikas Field. So they'd be good for that. During the school day, teachers arrive before the students and parents and before the buses. And so teachers will fill the lot, and the lot won't be seeing activity beyond that. At the end of the day, the buses exit, the parents exit, the students exit, and the teachers sometime after that. And so the coming and going in that traffic in that parking lot on school days is really not going to be conflict with cars stacking on Bald Eagle Avenue. During large events, you tend to have people arrive generally at the same time or in the same period of time, and there's not a lot of exiting traffic when people are arriving for a large event. And so we think that it will be confusing to people who aren't used to being on our campus to not be able to exit on the south side. If they enter there and they see this lot with space, it'll be very confusing on how you get to it. They'll probably figure it out eventually, but it'll create a lot of congestion on the site while they're trying to figure it out. When vehicles are leaving, traffic will be exiting at that time after an event, and there won't be much conflict there. So that's really the rationale behind the school district's interest in keeping that access point there. We think it's not going to create problems. The suggestion of the traffic engineer from SEH is really a compromise. Recognizing that the city's concerned, and I think we heard from them, they're concerned. They're not certain it's going to create a problem. But if it does, we have an access gate there that we can put down. I don't think having traffic cones is a good way to handle it. I don't think, I can say with confidence, we wouldn't be good at having staff members standing there. But I can feel pretty good about having a gate, and we have traffic people in our parking lots that can manage our gates. Part of the design of the overall facility was gates to manage traffic. That was something we came to agreement with city staff on, and we think this is consistent with that solution. So we also have, as I mentioned, or as Mr. Lindahl mentioned, Eric Meyer is the engineer from Larson Engineering who designed the engineering for that parking lot, and then Tyler Ertl with Wold architects is here too, so if we have questions specifically about design, lighting, any of those types of things, those guys can sure help us out. Thank you.
So I just have a question for you. So basically, you're worried about people being confused on how to get to the parking lot if we only have one entrance. But it's going to be teachers that are parking there.
On school days, it'll be teachers who park there.
Okay.
For after-school evening events on Larikas Field or large events where stadium events, people will park there as well. Graduation, you know, we fill the parking lot.
And when would the gate be up?
Well, the gate would be up. The gate would be up until we determine that this kind of event creates stacking. So if it comes to fruition, as city staff said, that we're concerned about stacking of vehicles on Bald Eagle, we wouldn't want that to happen. If large events cause that to happen, then we'll just gate it. We'll have the gate there, so it would be easy for us to control it.
Okay. And is there a cost difference in doing one over the other? I know
Yeah, well,
it's not our cost,
no,
right?
the
But
school
it's your
district would bear the
cost, but
cost of
still,
the gate.
it's our community. So is there a cost of doing one versus the other? A difference, a big difference?
Well, having the entrance there or not,
Right,
I mean, it's minimal,
it's minimal.
yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Wald?
I'm kind of wondering the consideration with, you talked about, I understand the school day, I used to be a teacher, so when they're coming going, with the events, right, if there's one big event, but then there's also so many other things going, like when I was there yesterday, there were a bunch of people walking, coming, going, there were people doing basketball, like looked like a basketball training, you had a ton of people there, like how do you determine, because sometimes it'll be one event, but then you kind of can't, because of the field house and that stuff use, it's sometimes hard to determine how many people are going to be in there. I feel like every time kind of I've gone to a basketball game, there's still been other people coming and going, and then there are other meetings there that happen at the district. So I'm kind of wondering that piece.
Yeah, like, really that lot will be used spring, summer, some fall, when, I'm talking after-school activities, evening, weekends.
And like walking,
Right.
just, yeah.
So when you think about winter activities, people won't probably be parking there for evening activities because it's not close to the entrance. Then we're not using Larikas Fields in the winter. So I don't think it'll be much of an issue.
You feel you can predict when you would.
Thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Wald, just trying to get an idea of the traffic flow. So coming in from Bald Eagle, the south, below the parking lot, south of the parking lot, and with this map, there's two maps up there now. So when I get to the end of that little strip, can I go north? I can't remember, is it a one-way going north, and then can I loop around and come into the lot from that side?
Yeah,
What's
so
the traffic
like when you
flow?
go past that entrance, where
Yeah.
the red boxes, yeah, you
Right.
take a left.
You can.
Yep.
Is it just a one-way? I can't, or is it
Yeah,
two-way
it's just a
traffic?
one-way to
So
the
one-way going north.
Going north,
And
yeah.
around. Thank you.
And there's stop signs before you head south or head west on that path. There's stop signs that control traffic. Yep.
All right. Mr. Cobby.
Mayor, members of the council, maybe just to add a little bit of clarification. It's not really the stacking onto Bald Eagle that's a concern of staff. It's really the turning movements in and out of the parking lot. As you can see, even just comparing the two entrances, if somebody's coming eastbound on that south entrance, into the school site and wants to take a left into the lot, and they start making that movement, and somebody's in the lot making a movement, they're at a 90-degree angle to oncoming traffic. Okay, so it's a car turning left northbound into the lot, and they get stuck for some reason because somebody's backing in and out of a parking lot, like Councilmember Garola said, that people are coming and going for a lot of these different events. Likewise, somebody coming, circling in that parking lot, finds there's no spot, wants to come back out, heads back towards Bald Eagle. They have a super tight turning radius, potentially even turning in oncoming traffic, So it's just the tightness of that intersection. There's no, if you look at that north entrance, if somebody turns in there and people are moving around, they can stop there. They're not sitting in traffic. They're not on this, like the southbound entrance or south entrance, they're caught in traffic, potentially depending on what type of events going on, whether they're people circling, trying to find parking. That's staff's concern.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Engstrand, do you have anything to say about this? You work there, right?
Abstain from voting because I work for them,
Okay.
but I do recommend leaving it there. I have full, I think they're capable of handling traffic over there. I've seen football games, I'm over there all the time for basketball, football, whatever. I think they can handle the traffic.
Thank you. Councilmember Edberg.
Well, I'm just more curious. 3 parking lots, 162 spaces. How did you miss that in the early design phase?
We didn't miss it.
10% change, but what am I not seeing?
Well, at the time when we needed to bring the conditional use permit to the city and the council, we hadn't acquired all the properties that we have at this point. So the property here, we acquired fairly early, but not quite early enough. It looked like we were going to have it, but we couldn't hold off any longer to square it away. So we planned for water retention, knowing that we'd eventually get it, but we just had to move the project forward.
Okay, got it. So we've had a full season, couple seasons of experience with big nights. What's been the overall assessment of adequacy of parking, ease of movement, safety of all participants, et cetera? What's been the track record so far?
It's been pretty good on site. I feel like the traffic flows, it could be a little confusing for those who are new to the site, but generally the traffic flows pretty well. We advise visiting teams for like bigger events to use the Division Avenue side because it's a little clearer to them. It's a larger parking lot. So that's been pretty successful. So it's been really great on site. We know it's been some pressure in the neighborhood, and we've heard from neighbors who get frustrated by that. Adding the no parking signs around the neighborhood, I think, have been helpful. Big events, though, create the pressure in the neighborhood. That's what we're trying to alleviate with this, is just get that out of the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember Engstrand.
And again, with football games, usually after a game, I can get out of there in 20 minutes. The parking lots are clear, and traffic's moving.
Thank you. Councilmember West.
So just to clarify, Councilmember Engstrand, you're recommending that both of those openings stay there?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
with a gate.
Gotcha.
Any further questions for Mr. Wald? No, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
All right, so I think we have to make a decision on whether we can do the resolution with number 6 in there, or if we take it out. Am I correct?
I would personally like to hear if other council members have had like I get it, it's my experience of being on there and like kind of feeling like, oh boy, I hope I don't get hit, because that has been mine, just, navigating in there, and also it's one person. So I'm just wondering if other councils have had that similar. And again, it's not saying there's an issue with the engineering. I just think it's my personal experience driving in there. I understand what you said resonated with me, so I'm just wondering if others have any experience during events, not during the school day.
Does anyone
The
have any?
the times I've been there, I
Councilmember
parked in
Walsh.
the big lot and gotten in and out just fine, so I don't have the experience.
Anyone else?
I've been there once and I got lost.
Thanks.
Were you pondering something?
Into the road.
And I
Well-
do not go there that often, so.
Madam Mayor, just to move things forward, these 50/50 engineering calls are difficult, and I don't have a huge think one way or the other, but this one, I'm inclined to go with city staff on the recommendation, so I'll move the resolution as presented with that condition 6 in it.
Okay, do I have a second?
Well, if that's the vote. If there's no second, then that's an indication that there's no support. No, I won't be offended. Trust me. Someone should move the resolution with number 6 in it, perhaps. You know?
Okay,
Motion dies for lack of a second.
Yeah, sounds like it.
motion dies. Does anyone have another motion?
I think you sense a great deal of ambiguity, and Member Walsh, I think you're right. These engineering conversations, I don't have great insight one way or the other. My inclination is to provide flexibility, assume that the school district will use that flexibility responsibly and manage, but I'm not ultimately convinced of either position.
Well, I want to go home, so I'll move the resolution removing item, the condition 6, and letting the district manage the. Do we need to do one of the 3 options? We don't need to micromanage that, do we? Or we just move the resolution without that last condition?
Mayor, members of the council, of course, you can make whatever recommendation and action you choose, but the applicant has suggested a compromise of adding one of those 3 options, either staffing it, adding temporary barriers like cones, or a gate.
Install a gate.
And so those are options before you as well.
Okay, so you're suggesting we remove item 6 and add, and I think an amendment for,
And if I was the author of the amendment, I would say the least restrictive of those 3, which would be the temporary. A staffer costs money, the gate costs money. It's all our money. So trust them, temporary barrier, whatever they need to do to manage that entrance. That'd be my recommendation.
is there any second on that?
I give up. You guys propose something, I'll vote
Right.
for it. Holy cow.
Right,
Can I propose the amendment to add a gate?
Second.
okay, so right now on the table, we have remove 6, but add stipulation that there's a gate for Bald Eagle Avenue. Correct?
No. That's where the gate's going to go?
No, the gate,
On the Bald Eagles.
No, it's not both equal.
No,
no,
on the drive.
not on Bald Eagle, on the drive. Right,
Okay.
right. All right, so I have a second on that. Is there any further discussion on that?
Can I just jump in and clarify too? So is the motion to approve the resolution with the following change, removing number 6 in the list of conditions and replacing it with requirement that the school district install a gate so that they can control that gate and prohibit access during peak traffic periods? Just, I want to clarify that we have the
Yes.
right motion
That
on
is
the
my
table.
understanding,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
And maybe you'd use the word permanent gate. I think that's what you're saying, aren't you?
Yes.
I don't know if you do a temporary gate or a permanent gate.
So that's the motion.
Yep, we did have a second, yeah. And no more further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion
Same.
passes. Motion passes. All right, moving on to item 9A, which has been tabled to March 24th.
Mr. Lindahl, did you want to talk about the title of that at all for 9A? Just
Mayor,
explain.
members of the council, I'm sorry, I was managing slides. Yes, just to summarize for the council and anyone who may be in the audience or watching this item at home, the applicant approached staff and requested to table this item until next month, to the March 24th meeting specifically, to allow more time for them to consider the feedback that came from the neighborhood meeting and the planning commission meeting, and what they ultimately might want to do, if anything, to adjust their plans. And so this item again is moved to a date certain, the March 24th meeting.
Okay, so just to be clear, that was the concept plan review for 3772 Hoffman Road, and we're tabling that until March 24th.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you so much. All right, item 10, communications from the city manager. Ms. Crawford.
Mayor, members of the council, I do not have a slide. You don't need to finick with the PowerPoint anymore tonight. I was trying to tell you that, but you weren't looking at me. Just one thing tonight quickly. Twin Cities Live is an afternoon show on KSTP local show. They are highlighting White Bear Lake the week of the 16th, so next week. And on the 19th, they're having a live viewing party at Rudy's in the afternoon. So if any, I think it is open to the public, but if any council members are interested in joining, a few of us up here that are going to be there, please let me know so I can add you to our reservation. And that's at 3 o'clock on the 19th. So, nightmare.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to thank everybody for being here early for the work session and for an open, honest discussion. I think it was productive, and I want to thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
No move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.